Just another day at a convention, but look at you. Are you a 02 cosplayer? Maybe. Not quite sure. Why are you so taken aback? Do you know you're missing something on your head? No? It's your headband. Yep, you don't have any horns on that head or any headband. Yep, I know it's a bit of a shock, hey? But I think I can help you with that. Do you know how to make a headband? Do you? No? But that's okay. I can help you in this easy peasy tutorial. Don't know how to do it? Simple and easy, and I'll give you all the materials and everything on top of that, even some patterns. Alright, let's get into it. The materials you will need is an air-dried clay, some scissors or a box cutter. I like these ones because they're very handy and they have a spring action that you can easily snip through like the scissors, but we definitely do not use sewing scissors at all. You will need some baking paper. I like to use this really long one, any will do, and if you don't have baking paper, paper is just fine. Our next item is some foam. Today I'll be using scraps. And of course, to make our pattern, we will need a ruler or a measuring tape. Anything that can measure in inches or in centimeters will do. For the first part of this tutorial, you'll be needing these materials, as well as some pens or pencils to make sure you're able to mark out the pattern. To start, we will grab out an A4 size piece of paper, or around about 30 centimeters, and we'll fold that one in half so we can have a symmetrical pattern piece. I find baking paper is the easiest to work on as it won't slip off any of the foam. Here we will measure around about 11 centimeters for our big long piece of the headpiece. Once we've measured out that long piece for the 11 centimeters, I'm using a round object, like my ribbon, to make the round side of the headpiece. This should be around about 3.5 centimeters in. Here I'm doing one long curve just to make sure that it's as curved and as nice as I want it to be. Now it's time to measure the outer side of the headband. We need to make sure it's just a little bit shorter than the other side, so we're making it 7.5 centimeters. This means it will be shorter and it will also make the nice oblong shape of a headband. Now for the next part, we'll stay at that 3.5 centimeters in from the oblong shape where it starts to curve, and that will be the center point of our little triangles. This will be our anchor point of the little triangle. We will be using around about a ½ inch / 1.25 centimeters. It's a bit hard to actually say the measurements, but hopefully that makes sense. So we will have a triangle around about the size of an inch. Now this is what your piece should be looking like as a pattern piece. Once done, remember to darken the outside lines so you know which ones you want to cut. I'm using some old fabric scissors that I do not use to cut fabric with, and we'll go right around and cut that piece out. Now, once you're done, yeet that piece of paper and make sure that it's nice and even. If it's not, you may need to do the process again, but this was first go and I honestly think it's pretty good. Now for the next part, I'm using a scrap piece of grey foam. It can be any colour. I used a 5mm foam piece. It can be any thickness, but the thicker the less likely it is to bend. So just going around the edges with my dark pencil, I'm making sure that all the lines are even and that all the points are even. Now this is the part where my foam cutters come in handy, so we will be cutting around the piece and cutting it out. Now we'll put that foam away, and this is what our piece should look like. Since I use such a thin piece of foam, it is nice and flimsy and it will be able to hold its shape once primed and painted. Now this is the part where our air drying foam clay comes in. I got this one from Lincraft for around about $2.50, and honestly compared to other premium air drying foam, I think this one is really valuable and it's super easy to use, and you don't have to wait for shipping times compared to other retailers in Australia like Lumens and Hero Studios. Here you can see it's the same consistency. It's a little bit tacky and like glue, but we're going to mold that one together, and I find playing with this clay and the consistency is somewhat like Play-Doh but with glue in it. That's the best way to describe it. So with these, I'm going to grab two little balls and put all of it away and make sure that everything can be used at another day for another project. Reuse and recycle your materials. It's okay to keep your scraps because you may never know what you're going to be using them for. So for these ones, I'm going to make a little triangle at first and then knead it into a little cute horn shape. 02 has more sharp horns, but I find the horns that I want to go for are more a cute slash little like nub. The only way I can compare it to is kind of like a candy corn from America, like the little candies, and just moving the little like point nub so that it can be like a hook as it is in the anime. Now that we have the both of them done in this little montage, you can see that they're around about the same shape, and making sure that they're all the same, we're going to put them out in the sun to bake. Thank goodness we have the Australian sun here, and it will bake in a matter of minutes rather than waiting a whole day like it says on the package. Now to shape our foam, we will be using a hairdryer, or you could use a heat gun if you have one handy. I don't, but I find that the hairdryer has the same effect, and I have used this for multiple projects before to make sure that the foam is heated up and flexible and can actually mold to shape. Honestly, for beginner cosplayers, I definitely recommend getting a hairdryer first for wigs and also for foam work if you want to be an eco queen and save your money on a heat gun just to make sure that you're able to use it. And for the next one, we'll be using Herbert. If you remember him from the wig styling, I find that using a wig head is 10 times better to make sure that it is actually round and it will fit your head. Because Herbert is a male head, he is more close to an actual human head, so it will probably fit me. Hopefully Herbert will do a good job. Now for this next part, you will need to pin the foam piece onto your wig head. If you don't have a wig head, you can use a bowl. I find that it has the same effect, however it may take a little longer because you're using a bowl. However, with this wig head, it makes sure that it is actually rounded and that it can set at that. I know it's a bit weird to talk about it that way, but you do need to let your foam kind of sit and set itself into that curve so that it will actually stay at that roundness for your noggin. Once you're happy with your piece, get a marker or a pencil and mark where you want your little horns to go. Once done, we will prime this bad boy. To prime today, I will be using Flex Bond. If you don't have this on hand, you can use wood glue. To paint our headband, I will be using this chalky finish Duramax in white. And for our horns, we will be using this rose gold paint, which is an acrylic paint. I find this one will be super cute, and using these brushes to make sure that the contact adhesive and the paint will stay. This process may take quite a while, however you can already see with this acrylic paint the payoff is already starting to come up. However, with this rose gold paint, I will say with the layers is one of the downsides. However, if you do not have this paint, it is totally okay, and you can use a plain red acrylic for those, as cosplay is up to your own interpretation of what the character may look like, and taking your own creative liberties is a part of this hobby. After going off screen and painting and priming this headband, you can see that it is super round now and super white, so much so that it blends into the background. With our horns, we can see that the color payoff is there and it's super cute and it will definitely stand out. Now, to glue the horns to the headband, I will be using a contact adhesive. You can get it from any hardware store like Bunnings or some craft stores. To save my brushes, I'll be using a paddle pop stick. Now, for this part of putting the contact adhesive on, I recommend putting it on the headband where your little markings are. You may be able to see it through the paint. I was able to at the time, and just dab a little bit on, just a little bit. You may think that it may be a little bit too much, but a little bit too much is okay. And to match, we will put a little bit on the ends of our horns, making sure we get a good coat on them because we want them to stick to the headband. Once the contact adhesive is tacky, you can stick them right on there and then you'll be done. Just before you put the bobby pins on the bottom of the headband or some clips so they can be secured to your head. And now, since you're done, you just whack that bad boy on your noggin and you go rock that cosplay like the badass 02 cosplayer you are. This one suits any cosplay, and if it doesn't fit by a couple centimeters, extend the middle by 1 or 2 centimeters. And I hope you guys like this tutorial. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment your favorite Darling in the Franxx character down below. Hope you guys have a good one. See you. Bye.